All right, every now and again you come across the tool that really is a real part of your life. I mean, your business, your life. This is one of those tools. This tool has been around my business for as long as my business has been around. And it's really an extension of myself as I use this to put in, cabinets, scribe moldings, everything, countertops. Now, I've recently changed to a cordless model. Unfortunately, if they had this in a cordless model, I'd step up to this immediately. But I went ahead and got the Makita, and it's been a great cordless jigsaw. I still really like the way this works, maybe better, because it's just got, the power is always there. It never goes dead. I mean, but it doesn't have dust collection, and dust collection is a very big thing. So I thought it didn't have dust collection, and I always thought to myself, why doesn't it? Because there is a port in this guy. So I decided to break out the manual. Haven't looked at the manual in a really long time. And what do I see? I see this Bosch jigsaw with that dust hose and an adapter connected to it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So this actually has dust collection, and I didn't even know it. Or I felt like it wasn't going to be good enough, so why bother with it? Now, it may not be very good, but I did notice it did have it, and it actually tells you model 1587 ABS can be converted to dustless by adding the dust collection adapter kit, which is available from Bosch Service Centers distributors. Okay. That's cool, and that shows you what it is. So it definitely can take a hose, whatever. Whether or not I'll use that, or find it at this point, it's beyond me. However, I do have this other plate, and the other plate I've never touched before. This is it right here. So this is actually one of the plates that you would use if you're using dust collection, from my understanding. It's also a soft plastic, plate that you could use for, not marring up furniture. So I've always had just the metal one that's on here, and that's been fine. But since I basically have changed to the Makita, I'm going to go ahead and switch this out, and I'm going to put the plastic one in. And I'm going to do it for a couple of reasons. One is I'm actually going to set this up with a feature that I don't know if a lot of people know about. Now, this saw, just as it sits, is actually really good in that it's really close to the front. I can see the cut line, superbly, right? That is really phenomenal, the way that that's made. The Festool is set back quite a bit, and the Makita is set back as well. So this gives me a much better view of my cut line. But in a situation where you're coming up to a cabinet, and it's set back, even though it's set back, isn't as much as a lot of the other jigsaws, it's still set back. Now, I wanted to show you this unique feature. You have to take off this base in order to do it. But this is just something I'm not sure if a lot of people are familiar with. And if you have one of these saws, you might want to do this. I'm going to set this up this way, and I'm not going to bother taking it away, because I'm just going to keep it this way. So what you do is you take this off. This whole thing's going to come off. And you notice how there's two holes there. And there's actually, it looks like a tab. It's a triangular tab right there. That's going to reference that right there. And it's going to lock in. So when I put this thing down, I'm actually going to be putting the bolt through that hole, not this one. So if I show you, that's what it looks like going through. So this is the regular hole. You can see where it positions itself. Now with the regular hole, you're allowed to tilt to 45 degrees. I don't really find that useful at all. But if you do tilt it, you have to be in that front position, the normal position. If you don't care about tilting and you need to get right up close, check this out. Look what's available. That hole right there, and it locks in that tab. So now what it does is it locks me at 90 degrees. I cannot bevel it at all. So what we want to do is take this guy right there, the locking key, and just put it in. Okay, now what we want to do is make sure that it's seated properly. So the tool has to be seated just right. Otherwise it'll be tilted. So you want to make sure that that tab's engaged in the right spot. And then what I'm going to do is actually, although this is basically 90 degrees, I'm just going to make sure that that is actually 90 degrees using a square. So right there you could tell it's not square. A little bit. It's not much, but if it's not square, that's really not going to be ideal. So that's square. Now that we have it square, I can go ahead and utilize this to cut really close to the end of cabinets. So that guy right there is seriously close. Let's see what that is. All right, to the front of the blade, to the front of the actual base, it is 3/8 of an inch, man. That's awesome. 3/8 of an inch to that cutting action. I would say that that is one of those things that you want to do. Now, actually, because I don't ever bevel this thing, if I want to bevel it, I actually manually bevel it. I would have actually kept it just like this for the entire time I owned this. Had I known that that was the case, I would have just done that. So if you're out there, you're buying this tool, maybe on the used market, they're really popular. Check this out. Check this feature out. Another thing is, if you don't know about the different functions, the manual actually has a lot of good information, believe it or not. Some manuals are a joke, but this actually has pretty good information. The blower, this is actually something that I find it actually a little bit different than I would think intuitively. I would think up means you want, the arrow up means more air to blow the dust away, but actually it's the opposite. That is no orbital action here, but again, as you put it up, now you have orbiting action. But for most of the jobs, I keep it at a 1 or a 2 orbit. And this particular blade is an orbital blade, which means that if you're going to go and you're going to do like curving, it's like kind of like a scroll saw blade. It's a little bit thinner. These are really good blades, though, these particular ones. These are Bosch 308s. One interesting thing about this saw is that you have to pull this away. Before this model, you had to use the, I think you had to use a key to do it, like, you know, like this type of thing, or a screwdriver. But they've had, you know, various things, but this was kind of like that revolutionary blade change that took, you know, that took the tool world by storm. And it was really cool. When it was fresh and new, it worked perfectly. It still works really well, but you know, you have to pull this out in order to take the blade out rather than flicking a switch like some of the new saws. You kind of have to just pull this out. And then when you turn this counterclockwise, you're going to loosen it up. A few turns, you know, I think maybe more like 10. And then that should loosen up just like that. Now, when you put it in, you're going to do the reverse. But there is something different about it, is that you'll hear so you want to lift it up, put it in that guide so it's nice and centered. And now as you tighten this up, you're going to go clockwise and put it in. As soon as you hear the clicking sound, you're going to go 2 or 3 clicks. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now here's the thing. You're out of position right there. So if you back up, you could put it in, or you're afraid that might loosen the blade up. Just go a few more until you get in position and lock it in. Just like that. All right, so now you're good. Now as far as the speeds go, I always keep it on E, which is the maximum. But what's really nice about this particular saw is that it's totally variable. So as you're using it, you have the throttle, and that is a really nice feel, right? It's not like real, you know, abrupt, because you can go as slow as you want, and then speed it up. Now, I will say that the Makita model, because it stops really quickly, it's kind of neat. So as you're cutting stuff, and you actually want to stop the cut, when you pull the trigger, see here? Well, the Makita, it just stops. There's no like, see that? You don't have that with the Makita, which is different. I kind of like that feature where it stops real fast. But so this is that nice motion as you start it. I'll start slow. And this thing is totally beyond its life. I mean, as far as the bush, I haven't changed the brushes on this. I haven't changed the bearings. And it says between 300 and 400 hours of use to change the bearing. After, it says right there, after 300 to 400 hours. I'll tell you right now, this thing's got more than that on there. And it doesn't even show any sign that it needs any kind of bearings. And the brushes, I can't believe those things. It says here, to maintain peak efficiency, we recommend that every 2 to 6 months, the brushes are examined. Are you kidding me? 2 to 6 months? That's nuts. For peak performance, what is that? The thing's, 20 years old, and it's just money, this thing. So, okay, what else can I say about it? Yeah, check this thing out, man. I tell you, I love it. Still to this day. If you have any questions, just write a comment down and let me know. All right. Hey, thanks for watching.